Hello and welcome. Greetings from India, IBF and Garanto. Thanks for inviting me. The team at Garanto, Sheena again and Shriman. Thanks for very efficiently putting it together. I am excited to be and happy to be with you all today and look forward to an interactive session. This is how I have structured the session. We enjoy a deep dive into the world of Dutch art of the golden period of the 17th century. We go to 20th century space voyages and use digital photography as a metaphor and talk of that enigma called business leadership. I'm targeting to wrap up this first part in about the first 15-20 minutes. A very quick, brief introduction about me. Had 25 odd years in the corporate world across around the world, some global companies, some large Indian companies. And I would say God was kind. I was fortunate to get some of these opportunities to work at C-level executive leadership positions and to be a board member of some of these companies based in Europe and Silicon Valley. And my new work dots consist of, as you see, academia, of the government, of the startup and technology ecosystem, and of the multilaterals. So with a finger on the pulse of academia and some of the world's top institutions like UCLA Anderson, Stanford, IIT Delhi. Just a moment. Sheena, can you confirm you can see me?
Yes, sir.
Everything is okay, right? Because
yes,
I'm getting
sir.
the messages, so I was wondering if there is some problem with the system. All right, so, Stanford, IIT Delhi, Ashoka University, the Indian School of Business, Fortune 500, and the global AI and technology and startup ecosystem. Organizations and governments today call upon me for insights and consulting for some of their most important AI-related strategic decisions, right? So it is these corporate trainings and outings, academic outings, training outings, bit that sees me engaging with global leaders and ignited minds like you. So I'm so excited to be able to share with you both as a practitioner and as a scholar some of the best learnings of my journey with the most exciting subject of artificial intelligence. It is good to see when people come back. That means that there must be something. So thank you very much, my friend Ken, for joining. Really appreciate your, after having done the AI course, to make time to be able to be with us today. So this is where we start. I would say first things first, the AI apocalypse is all around us. Research institutes, top corporates, educational institutions, and states around the world are competing and collaborating to get to the holy grail. So whenever videos are playing, you will see a poll coming up. I would request if you could quickly answer the poll, because that enables us to move to the next slide and be able to check the locus standi of what we believe AI and the cusp of AI scenario around the world may be like and what it really is like. So MIT, we know, is investing about $1 billion in a new college with computing and AI focus, and all technology institutes around the world are kind of scrambling to get onto the bandwagon.
AI is accelerating growth in virtually every field. It's an ultimate disruptor.
Computer science is making inroads to every academic discipline and every aspect of our lives.
The economy and society is really demanding people who understand this new domain of computing and artificial intelligence.
Our students recognize that computing is shaping the future, and they're pushing for an education that sets the foundation for it.
MIT is making a bold announcement today. MIT is announcing the creation of the Stephen A. Schwarzman College of Computing. That's a radical, bold move by MIT to adjust and prepare the students of today for the world of the future.
There is tremendous interest in understanding the ethical and societal implications of new technologies, and particularly the technologies.
So Sheena, if you could help me with launching the poll, because I can't see the poll here. Are you able to see the poll? Can you launch question number 1 for us? Or maybe you would need to make me the co-host or something.
Already made you the co-host, sir.
Yeah. Yes, they are here now. So this is, oh, Sheena, they have all been made into a single one. So only answer question number 1 for now. Sheena, they needed to be separate polls. All 9 of them needed to be separate polls. Only answer question number 1, people, if you can. Are you able to vote, people? For those of you who have joined slightly late, welcome again. Krishnamurthy, are you able to vote on question 1?
I'm able to vote, but it is not capturing. There is no submit button.
Yeah. Which is what I am also not able to see all of them separately. So there seems to be some issue, Sheena. Maybe you would like to revisit and create them into 9 separate polls like we do in the main sessions. Okay. I am
But
ending the
answer is true.
Yes, you believe it is true. Thank you very much for inputting. I appreciate it. A is the correct answer, and this is as per the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs 2020 report. The pace of technology adoption is expected to remain unabated and may actually accelerate in some areas. The adoption of cloud computing, of big data, of e-commerce, they all remain high priorities for business leaders following a trend that was established in previous years. And very clearly, there's been a significant rise as far as interest for artificial intelligence is concerned, right? So we do realize that it is, very clear that there is an exponential 2 times growth for AI startups versus an incremental 1.3x growth for all these startups. And a similar playbook for VC funding exists, where there is a 4.5 times for AI VC funding versus some 2.08 for all of the funding. So AI startups are clearly registering exponential growth, and so is the VC funding for them. How many of you guys are able to recognize who the gentleman in the photograph is? This is the 17th century, 1606 to 1669. Those of us who may have an interest in art would be able to identify him as Rembrandt. Rembrandt was a Dutch draftsman, painter, printmaker. He was an innovative and prolific master in the 3 media and is generally considered one of the greatest visual artists in the history of art and the most important in Dutch history. Now, Rembrandt's portrait, so it is surprising that we're doing a master class on artificial intelligence and I'm talking about an artist, but this is where the beauty will come in as we dive into Rembrandt's world. His portraits of his contemporaries, self-portraits, etc., are considered his greatest creative triumphs. His self-portraits are a unique and intimate biography in which the artist surveyed himself without vanity and with utmost sincerity. And this is what you see on the screen. I would like you to watch this video first.
One of Rembrandt's great achievements was to portray human emotions in a much more convincing way than artists had before him, and in many ways for all time.
At ING, we believe in the power of innovation, what it can mean to people. We want to bring this innovative spirit to our sponsorship of Dutch art and culture. We knew that for this challenge, we needed to team up with experts from various fields to make this come to life.
We're using a lot of data to improve business life. But we haven't been using data that much in a way that touches the human soul. You could say that we use technology and data like Rembrandt used his paints and his brushes to create something new.
The first step was to study the works of Rembrandt in order to create an extensive database. We gathered the data from his collection of paintings from many different sources, including 3D scans and upscale images using a deep learning algorithm. Because a significant percentage of Rembrandt paintings were portraits, we analyzed the demography of the faces in these paintings, looking at factors like gender, age, and head direction. The data led us to the conclusion that the subject should be a portrait of a Caucasian male with facial hair between 30 and 40 years old, in dark clothing with a collar, wearing a hat, and facing to the right. From there, we started to extract features only with faces that were related to that specific profile.
And we had to create a whole painting from just data. And we used statistical analysis and various algorithms to extract the features that make Rembrandt Rembrandt.
We took parts of the face and we started to compare them. And then, based on this, we're able to create a typical Rembrandt eye or nose or mouth or ear. After generating the features, we were focusing on the face proportions. We used an algorithm that can detect over 60 points in a painting. We were able to align the faces and to estimate the distance between the eyes, the nose, and the mouth and the ears.
A painting is not a 2D picture. It's 3D. You can see the canvas, you can see the process, and that's what makes the painting come alive. A hive map is essential to make the painting a painting.
We incorporated the height map into the painting and printed on a 3D printer that uses a special paint-based UV ink. It printed many layers, one on top of the other, which resulted in the height and texture of the final painting.
It's sometimes a magical moment to see a painting for the first time. Even if it's computer generated, for me it is something special. I would have believed if I saw it in a museum that it would have been a real Rembrandt, just one I haven't seen before.
It will be interesting to see Rembrandt looking at it. He will be happy that there are people trying to understand him and trying to create something out of that. So I think he will be happy.
The next Rembrandt makes you think about where innovation can take us. What's next?
So a dive into Rembrandt's world, blurring the boundaries between art and technology. They set out on a challenge to see if the great master can be brought back to life to create a new painting. So yes, bricks or bouquets, thorns and flowers, praise and hate, everything. I don't know. Sheena, could you confirm I should try and run the polls?
Yes, sir.
No, they would not, Sheena, because this is still single unit, right? So they need to be separated. You need to separate them, like from poll 3 onward, just create them into unique polls. They are all the same, right? They are all in the same question. So we need to be having separate polls, okay? But
I
this
have
is the next.
created sir, I have created different polls already, sir. You can check for the...
Do me a favor, why don't you launch poll number 2 for us? Are you able to launch that?
Yes, sir.
Launch it, please. Yes, very well. People, can you participate, please? Yes, good. Very well. Last 10 seconds. Vote 80% plus participation. Right. So you can end the poll and share the results, Sheena. So while only 33% of you guys believe that it may be as high as 6 in 10 jobs, with automation comes displacement. And this is a study of Milken Institute, FOW, Future of Work Insights for 2021 and beyond. This Brookings Institution analysis predicts that 6 in 10 jobs will face medium to high exposure to automation. Can you stop sharing, please? Yep. All right. And can you launch the third poll, please? Last 15 seconds. Last 5 seconds. Yes, 70% participation. Very well. Can you end the poll and share the results? So only 33% of you believe that career shifts into AI may be from different fields, but this is what research shows. This is a LinkedIn research. According to LinkedIn data gathered over the past 5 years, some 50% of career shifts into artificial intelligence are from different fields. So there is hope for all of us who are perhaps on the periphery, not necessarily into the field of AI. This research indicates that a growing number of people are actually making career changes to entirely new occupations. Please stop sharing. Thank you very much, Sheena. The poll number 4, please, if you could launch it. Thank you. Very well. Last 15 seconds. Last 5 seconds. 70% participation done. Thank you very much. Please end the poll, Sheena, and share the results. Yes, this one was surprising for me also, because only 11% of you guys believe that you could actually take only as little as 2 to 3 months, and so did I believe also. But data from Coursera suggests that individuals could start gaining the top 10 skills for each emerging profession and skills in artificial intelligence in as low as in 2 to 3 months. So this is the one that really left me startled. While most of us from the outside may believe that it is next to nuclear science and next to space technology, and it's something not for me, but the reality is that there are as good fish in the sea as ever, came out of it. So please stop sharing results and we move forward, Sheena. All right, people. So you see a gentleman on your screen, and I would imagine perhaps most of you would not be aware who this gentleman is. If anyone knows who he is, kindly share. So this person is Russell Kirsch. He is credited with pioneering digitally scanned images of his son Walden way back in the year 1957. That is almost 60 years ago. So 6 decades after the world's first digital image, which was a 176 by 176 pixels, which is of baby Walden Kirsch, we today have actually reached a situation where this first image of son Walden in 57 through his invention of world's first digital scanner actually completely changed the ways of the world. In that, it resulted in something called digitization, which is at the heart of what you see any new technology today making use of. What is digitization? Digitization is conversion of any product or services into zeros and ones. The moment you do that, this product or technology actually hops on to a technology bandwagon where then it can be replicated, it can be, it can disrupt any industry at practically incremental costs and with humongous benefits, finally leading to a stage of demonetization, dematerialization, and democratization. Demonetization means that a clunky GPS, which used to sit on my car dashboard some 20 years ago, is today an app on my mobile phone, right? And there are some hundreds of such apps which I'm able to use. So there is complete dematerialization because of this digitization. Democratization means that I can today offer opportunities across the billions of people in the world, because 4 billion plus of us are digitally connected, right? Through this mobile devices and internet, right? And dematerialization, demonetization means that this digital image, so if I had a photograph some 25 years ago and I needed another print, I needed to spend a few cents to be able to do that, perhaps $1 or $2. But today I have a situation that I can just take a photograph right now, right here, and communicate it to billions of us at practically incrementally zero cost. So that is the power of digitization for you. We will move forward to trying to understand, but I will close the poll first. Yep. Okay, so here we are. All right, so we're going to be talking briefly about the first large use case, which is the world's largest unicorn, which is Alipay, which is a part of Ant Financial, which we know is a part of Chinese e-commerce and retail services multinational Alibaba. 2016, they take off, and through digital learning, artificial intelligence is able to take the same data to enlarge the scope of services across several new market opportunities at zero marginal cost, what I just talked about, thus leading to a digital domino effect. And Ant Financial is one firm that uses AI across all its operations. So let's get introduced to this thing called the AI factory, which is at the heart of all modern enterprises, I will say. And to the extent that they deal with data, with algorithms, with software, and with computation, all AI factories at the back end look the same, whether it is for a fintech company or a food tech company or a social media company or a content streaming company. So it all comes together: digitization, network effects, algorithms, and what have you, right? Dining, gaming, credit, medical, retail, wherever there is a need for money, there is Ant Financial. And this is an important graph because this shows that algorithms, which means software, basically lead to a situation of network effects. So earlier on, if I had a pen, and if hundreds or thousands of you guys buy a pen, the value of my pen does not increase. But platform revolution means that the more the number of users, the greater is the value of the product held by me. Which means all 100 of us, if we use this pen, the value did not increase in the past, but today it increases because of the phenomena of network effect. So you have ride hailing. The more the number of users, the more are the number of service providers. The more the number of cabs, the more are the number of users. And that is what leads to a new world. So Ant Financial, summarizing, uses AI. There is data, there is zero marginal cost, 1 billion transactions. It cannot be done humanly. So Satya Nadella tells us that AI is going to shape all that we do going forward. Let us for a moment understand what is human intelligence. Human intelligence typically manifests itself across visual perception. I can see you guys. Speech recognition. I can recognize that you're speaking something, and if I know the language, I can make it out. It enables me to take a decision. So there is decision making and there is translation between languages. If computer systems do that, we call it artificial intelligence. Examples of weak artificial intelligence abound in search, in maps, yes, Google search, Google Maps, voice assistants, what you use in Siri and various Cortana and various others, and chatbots that we deal with today on a daily basis. Then there is something known as strong AI, which means this is referring to machines that can think and act in a way that matches or surpasses human intelligence. So what are the drivers of artificial intelligence? There are three drivers of artificial intelligence. One, we are realizing that the data that has been produced in the last 2 years is equivalent to what has been produced in the last 200,000 years. So there is more data and there is greater access to data. There is cheap and more computing power, what you have with cloud computing, with on-demand cloud computing. And there are advanced algorithms. So Python and various other new age languages have completely revolutionized the world, where the algorithms that are being written are extremely, extremely efficient and proficient, right? But there are these three terms which are kind of used interchangeably, but may not always refer to the same things. So artificial intelligence is the concept of creating smart, intelligent machines. Machine learning is a subset of AI that helps you build AI-driven applications. So right now, the biggest and the largest action is actually happening in the space of machine learning and the applications related to that. And deep learning, a further subset of machine learning, is the one that uses vast volumes of data and complex algorithms to train a model. This is actually being considered as the next frontier. So AI began with the goal of teaching machines to act like humans through programming. Machine learning brought these teaching machines to learn from training data that was created by humans, and with deep learning come neural networks, which are similar to the biological networks, biological neurons. So these are the ones that emulate the learning process in the human brain, which is what is used to teach machines. Okay. Any questions, comments, observations till now? Otherwise, I will quickly move on to the next section, where we'll be talking about the implications of this on the business side of it. Right. If there is one most important slide of the few that you've been seeing, it is this one. So I'll take you guys back to the year 1995. The 15 top consumer internet and technology companies of the world, between them, had a combined valuation of $16.5 billion, which was considered a whopping valuation. Fast forward 20 years later, the year 2015, the top 15 consumer and technology companies of the world have between them a staggering valuation of close to $3 trillion. So $16.5 billion and $3 trillion, we're obviously not talking inflation adjustment here. Something drastic has happened to the world, and that is that the world has learned the power of platform business models. So you earlier on had linear models, you had what was also called pipeline models. So you had the manufacturer on one side, you had the consumer on the other side, and there was a middle, which was the wholesalers, distributors, retailers, if we are talking of a normal product situation. But here is a situation that today you have a Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and what have you, and there are platforms that get created, and all of us plug into the platforms in one or the other role. In the case of Facebook, I could be an end consumer, I could be an advertiser, I could be an app developer, or I could be a publisher, a brand publisher. And platform is owned by this company called Meta, this company called Facebook. And the more of us are there, the more of us contribute to creation of value, and the more of us share the value creation between us. So there is value creation, there is value capture, there is value extraction, there is value monetization. And this is what has completely revolutionized the world. How? Like this. Yes, the last 10 seconds, please. I'm sure most of us may have seen that video, or at least have learned of what that video suggests. Sorry. Yep. So ending the poll and sharing the results. Surprise, surprise, data from Coursera suggests that the patterns of technology adoption vary according to industry, and artificial intelligence is finding the most broad applications among the digital information and communications, followed by financial services. So yes, financial services is big on the level of affecting that has happened within the industry. So let us arrive at the new rules. This, only when I'm reminded of what Marcel Proust has to say, he said, only when patterns are broken can new rules emerge, right? So the bigger picture is that there is systemic change. Moore's law told us that technology is almost always proceeding ahead of the humans, right? Metcalfe's law told us about connectivity and the power of networks, and Barbassi's law talked about network evolution and hub formation. So this constant improvement is what is driving the VUCA world. VUCA. Anyone knows what VUCA stands for? So this is the word defined by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, which is what is the world of turbulence all about. So I remember in the year 2008, 2009, I was in the US, and the US was undergoing this big time recession after so many years, right? And I was traveling from India, and I said, in our part of the world, we are completely decoupled. But in a connected world like today, there is no decoupling. There is a war out there, and all of us get affected, right? So everyone is impacted. And this is what leads to universality. So Google, which started out as a search engine, is today trying to become an e-commerce company. Amazon, which started out as an e-commerce company, is today becoming a search giant and challenging Google. There is Facebook, which has launched something called Facebook Shops, which is their e-commerce venture, and so on and so forth. So we are realizing that there is recombination, there is convergence, and the most valuable technology companies are the ones that are rising to the top and creating a phenomena called hub formation. And AI is the one that is at the heart of it. It is also a fact that AI can help create bias at scale, which means there are implications for privacy, for bias, for cybersecurity, for inclusiveness, for openness, for digital ethics. That almost brings me to the end of what we started out with. My parting note is that we did kind of very briefly saw how reinventing the firm around data, around analytics, around artificial intelligence removes the traditional constraints on scale, scope, and learning. These are the traditional constraints with which traditional manufacturing and traditional organizations historically had been saddled with. And this is what restricted business growth for hundreds of years. When these traditional operating constraints are removed, strategy becomes a whole new game, the rules and likely outcomes of which I hope today's presentation kind of gave some little insight into. My last word: in an algorithmic world, nothing is an original anymore, not even you. So AI enabled digital transformation and platform revolution is disrupting industries everywhere, and adapting quickly to change, to embrace digital and become an active part of the ecosystem is essential. Collaborative co-creation to unleash the power of networks, the power of communities to drive AI-driven digital transformation really is the key. So AI combined with increased connectivity, computing, and data is the kosher game changer. And now is the right time to board the AI bus. That's it. Thank you for your patience. I am up for questions, comments, observations, doubts, reflections, anything to share, any experiences that anyone would like to share. I may not always be able to see all of you guys along with the presentation, so I'm happy to, if you could just start speaking. You don't have to raise your hands, you could just start speaking, and also I may not always be able to access the chat messages. So requesting you to speak up if you would so wish. We have full 30 more minutes. I'm happy to take on any kind of questions related to AI, around AI, or anything related to the world of technology. All right. With no questions till now, I presume either everyone understands everything or no one understands anything. But I will move forward. I have another section. And this is where we talk briefly about what the artificial intelligence course, which is certified by IBF and is offered by Garanto, actually is all about. So let me take this opportunity to delve slightly or take a small dive into that area, and perhaps Krishnamurthy and others who now wanting to enroll could also get a glimpse of what we're actually going to be doing. So this course is designed to help us decode the mystery of artificial intelligence and its business applications. The super takeaways here are that first and foremost, you're able to master the AI concepts and workflows. This includes machine learning, deep learning, performance metrics, and what have you. You're able to also become aware of the AI trends and career opportunities, and for yourself, be able to describe how AI impacts business and life around us. So net, the course outcomes are we understand what is AI, its applications, use cases, and how it is transforming our lives. We are able to explain terms like machine learning, deep learning, neural networks. We are able to describe several issues and ethical concerns surrounding AI. We also delve deeper into understanding why AI is not working right now, which means, is it the same way of see, touch, feel, the way computerization or the way internet happened to the world? We also get to see AI in action, where we use, where with a few use cases, and we develop a project in the class, and we bring in these experts in the expert lounge, who are people who plug in from various parts of the world, Jakarta, India, and various others, to share with us actual use cases as they are right now happening in the industry. And we try and build a case together. But this is what it actually looks like, which means I call it the super amazing course on AI. But besides other stuff, you get exposed to also such issues as ethics and bias and jobs, and get advice about learning and starting a career in AI. We, as I said, also get to see AI in action. An important disclaimer is that this course does not require any programming or computer science expertise, and is designed to introduce the basics of AI to anyone, whether or not you have a technical background. Important also to clarify that even as we do build a project together, the course does not include any hands-on technical training. Does this course have a bias? Hell yes. So this course assumes that while as individuals we could be passionate about data analytics, machine learning, deep learning, and what have you, the course acknowledges and respects us as complete human beings, also interested in the finer things of life. Remember Rembrandt? So we talk about politics, we talk about fashion, we talk about sports, we talk about movies, we talk about soccer, football, right? We bring in outstanding leaders such as Olympian athletes, business executives, other distinguished guest speakers from maybe the field of religion, literature, ancient world, modern world. Remember, there's this guy called Mark Cuban who talks about you're becoming a dinosaur if you do not learn about machine learning and deep learning, and we get to hear what he has to say on the subject, right? But this is how the technology business people playbook is actually structured, which means while data and technology are the ones dominating conversations around digital transformation, staying relevant, my strong belief is, requires an understanding of the people and the business models too. And hence the all important combination of technology, people, and business. This is what this course is about. So I believe technology piece is the piece where you understand the feasibility of it. Business piece is the one where you understand the viability of it. And human piece is the one where you understand the desirability of it. And at the cusp of, at the intersection of all these three is where innovation really happens and is happening around the world. So the course, there is a focus on how non-technical professionals can become more valuable in the market and more involved in AI projects and initiatives without ever learning to code, right? And I do share my own story of how I got onto this bandwagon and what have I actually landed up with, right? Businesses that, my contention is that there is an analogy between businesses that get left behind in AI disruption and careers that kind of get lost in AI disruption, right? So at one level, we talk about the conceptual understanding of AI, how AI works. At another level, we look at the representative use cases, which means who are the AI vendors, if we're talking fintech, if we're talking health, if we're talking shipping. What are the enterprise AI applications? What are the capabilities? What are the functions? At a third level, we talk about the how to knowledge about AI adoption. This is where we understand and prepare for the challenges which the AI disruption is actually throwing up. And we also talk about how do you really pick up the AI projects. And this is even more deeper into how we go. So to help us navigate, we use the rubric that you see. We spend the whole course across the 12 large milestones. All modules are having a mix of teaching, of peer learning, of other interactions, right? These are through breakout rooms where we go out to discuss a few things. These are through projects that we do together in some of these breakout rooms, and the polls allow us to kind of index our own perceptions and understanding of where and what AI is, to that of a cohort that I am today a part of, to that of a reality, which is what it is. And this is where some of these learnings actually come deep and hit you hard, right? So as I said, we learn about emerging technologies such as AI, ML, DL, NLP, computer vision, cloud computing, big data analytics, and also the context of fintech. Each of these technologies will ideally have use cases from the respective companies and preferably from Singapore. So the technologies behind AI, the modules follow a non-technical framework overview of the technologies which are making AI-driven digital transformation an integral reality. The idea is to understand key technologies at the heart of creating new values, right? Now, this is the technology piece. I am also a strong believer that technology does not disrupt, business models do. So the participants will learn about ecosystems, about platform business models, and the concept of value creation, value capture, value extraction. Why platforms beat products? How have platforms revolutionized the world? The what and why of disruption, and what are the legacy companies doing to cope? This is the part that we cover in the business aspect of it. And finally, where are the people in this exciting and scary world? How to make sense of AI tools, technologies, processes, and their users in business? What are the challenges, the risks, the security, data governance, bias, ethics, privacy issues that could affect the way people live, work, and behave? So people, process, policy issues in AI-driven digital transformation. The course covers the three aspects through a researcher and a practitioner lens focus. All right, we're going to be watching this brief video first.
One of the things we learned from Google, we actually talked to the team at Google about this, is when they first started, what they did is they said, you're going to put in a keyword or two in the search engine at the very beginning, and I'm going to show you 10 links, and we think one of these 10 links will be useful. Look at the humility of the framing of the problem. It wasn't, you're going to say natural language, and I'm going to show you exactly the one link you wanted, right? So it's an explicit interaction where you tell it, this is what I want, and it answers to you. Look at Siri. When they launched, they started out with this kind of really big advertising with some of the best actors and actresses, setting your expectation that you could have a full-on conversation. And how did you feel about that? It kind of sucked. It didn't work as well, and it took time for them to get better. Alexa came in with the opposite framing. They're like, hey, here's this thing, just tell it, turn on the lights, set a timer, play a song, and it'll do it. And then over time, it started growing skills. So look at the difference. So we tried to do the same thing, blend, hey, make it easy for people to explicitly say, okay, Eva, schedule the next meeting for Monday at 10 a.m. Thanks, Eva, right? Very explicit, and kind of do some implicit things where it's just doing things in the background. And this is just one of the really interesting problems when you're designing an AI product is dealing with the fact that people have unbounded expectations as consumers, and you've got to bound it and over-deliver on that bounding so that you don't disappoint them.
Right. So this is a joint survey by Microsoft and IDC, according to which 79% of jobs will be transformed and replaced by AI in 2022. Now, that's a hell of a lot, which means C is the correct answer, which only 25% of us so believe.
The observation that we started to make in the early part of last decade was, boy, we're going from those companies that are building software to make stakeholders more efficient to building new health systems and new education systems and new neobanks and whatnot, right? And why was that happening? And the reason that was happening was because by having platforms like Facebook, Amazon Web Services, iPhone, we had essentially started to have a way to organize content, community, commerce, now care online. And the act of doing that essentially became these closed loop product development exercises, because you could rent all aspects of scale that you needed. You could rent computing, you can rent manufacturing, distribution, consumer access. And so it all became about mass personalization. So if in the 20th century, we had scaled all of our systems, corporations, banks, power plants, hospitals, we were now starting to go from that mass production and mass scaling to mass personalization. So, managing your diabetes or teaching you in a personalized way on Khan Academy, or giving you your own kind of a financial management service online. So that's the trend that started to happen. Why was that possible? It was because we could have an implicit understanding of the consumer and their needs and have these product development loops. Well, guess what? That is, you went from if you remember, big data to machine learning to AI over the last 15 years, you started building this deep intelligence around people. And the thing we started observing is, well, those product development tactics were okay when you were building games and you were trying to influence people's engagement in games. But when you start doing that around healthcare, somebody's health, you can't, to your point earlier, move fast and break things. If you're teaching somebody, you can't just experiment with different features to see will they learn better or not. It's actually, it's somebody's educational journey. You can't play with that. And so how do you do that responsibly? That is what we started thinking about in the context of AI. I think AI is not a thing by itself to go invest in a lot of companies. And just like mobile isn't a thing, but how you use AI and how are you accountable, transparent, and explainable in your approaches became a core focus for us, because that's what it was going to take to build responsible companies. And that is what led us to writing that book and sort of putting our frameworks out there around it.
So that's Hemant Taneja from General Catalyst on the promises and perils of AI. And he talks about responsible AI, how it needs to be accountable, transparent, and explainable. Yes, by now, some of you start gaming it. You're able to guess that as much as about 23 odd billion is what they are projecting by 2025, which is a compounded annual growth rate of something like 24%. This is the sources, of course, research and markets. So the value of AI technology in fintech expected to reach those high levels by the year 2025. We also do have a section, as you may have noticed, on specifically on AI in Singapore, and this is a glimpse of what that section looks like.
One of the areas where we will focus more and invest more funds in is in resource-efficient AI. As a small country, our data sets are also small. So we need to better train our machines to learn from small but high-quality data sets. Our investment in AI R&D is not large relative to global investments in this field. But by focusing on where we can make the greatest impact, we can make every effort count.
Singapore has embarked on 5 AI programs since announcing its national AI strategy in 2019. Mr. Heng says 2 additional programs will be introduced to build on the good progress made so far. The first is in finance, which includes an AI platform known as Nova. This will help financial institutions assess companies' environmental impact and identify emerging risks.
Over the next 3 decades, an estimated $100 trillion of climate-aligned funding will be needed to achieve the Paris Agreement targets. Nova will better enable financial institutions to assess these investments and their associated risks and check against greenwashing.
The other new program is in the public sector. It'll look at using AI to analyze feedback received by government agencies and to improve job matching on the National Jobs Portal.
Well, if you do, no prizes for guessing that one. Yes, if you do sign up for the course, you are not alone. The Emeritus 2021 Global Career Impact Survey. They assess the effects of professional learning on the careers of 2,200 professionals across some 75 different countries, and artificial intelligence, data analytics, and machine learning. rank among the topmost skills in demand. This is according to the new workplace survey from Emeritus, right? So, so this is what the reality is. When you move to the situation in Singapore, according to the LinkedIn report, the #1 emerging jobs report of Singapore is listed as that of being an AI specialist. We today realize that career opportunities in artificial intelligence, there are various kinds of job roles that are doing the rounds, and while some of them sound and look technical, there are as many, as I said earlier, fish in the sea as many great fish in the sea as ever came out of it. So yes, some of the large big tech companies and others are lining up, but then there are also the non-technology skills for AI which seem to also be having a field day.
Morning. Today's research day at Max Kellerson. I'm excited. We've dedicated, well, the ML team have dedicated Mondays to reading papers and looking up new ways of doing things. Give me a second. This gate, keep the parties out. I'm not entirely sure what we'll be exploring. I think it'll be something to do with maybe reinforcement learning or PyTorch. I've been really wanting to start learning PyTorch lately. But whatever it is, whatever we end up diving into, as long as the other tasks that we have to do are taken care of, like writing reports and working on projects, we get into some research. I'm going to go through that. I'm going to try and get some code from the OpenAI. I believe they have a baseline implementation on GitHub, so I'm going to try and get that running next Monday. But for the next 2 days, I'm at a client.
So yes, of all the technologies impacting business, the one that showed the highest growth is B, which is AI. All right. And this is as per the survey that you see on your screen, which means artificial intelligence is expected to be the most impactful technological advance for businesses in the coming 5 years. And this surpasses cloud in this respect. So almost 70% of industry professionals surveyed ranked the impact ahead of Internet of Things and robotics and automation.
We live in a world where technology has advanced so that we can collect huge amounts of data. The human mind does not have the ability just to look at tables and tables of data and just draw some conclusions. So data science is a logical way of being able to identify the structures that are inherent in that data, understanding the business problem, doing the analytics, and then providing some sort of a solution. Of data science at Chevron. It's gaining a lot of momentum. I think there's a lot of data and we're starting to get to dig into it and try to get some insights, and I'm really excited to see where it takes us.
We did talk about this one earlier when we talked about the 79% according to the joint survey by Microsoft and IDC. So the rise of AI very clearly has upended the entire traditional business model and industries across the spectrum and have all but jumped on the digital bandwagon.
My name is Tessa Lau, and I'm Chief Robot Whisperer at Savioke. Savioke is a robotics company, and we're building autonomous robot helpers for the services industry. I went to Cornell for my undergrad. I got a bachelor's in applied physics and computer science. I really liked physics because it was about hands-on doing experiments and building things and making stuff real. Computer science was also really interesting because you could create stuff a lot faster on a computer. And so I went into computer science.
These are just sample videos. You do get to see what various jobs are like, what becoming an, for example, AI engineer is all about, and what does it call for in terms of a skill set and all. And all of these are covered in reasonable detail on what are the kind of opportunities, what are the kind of skill set required, how do you really acquire it, what is the situation as far as Singapore is concerned and the Singapore Skills Program is concerned on various roles that are available, what are the kind of opportunities, the Skills Future Singapore listings. In the end, we also share with you various resources, which is a kind of bonus section over and above the 12 modules that you have seen. And these are resources. So you could be a person who's more into viewing, you could be a person who's got large amounts of time in commuting and are more into listening, or love reading, or, so reading, listening, video viewing, movies, resources of various kinds, tools that you could use to figure out as to what works for you, the AI readiness, etc. So all of these are clickable resources which we share as a part of the course, also recommendations on book. And this is my final shot, but before we get there, are there any questions, comments, observations, discussions, any feedback, anything, any experiences, any reflections to share, anything I could answer for you? We have about the last 5-7 minutes, and this is a very quick 2-minute video introducing or giving an introduction to the details of the course, which I have somehow also tried to do a show and tell. Anyone, any questions? All right. Hello, my name is Piyush Sharma, and I'm happy and excited to be sharing with you the much awaited Singapore launch of my globally recognized signature program on artificial intelligence for everyone. The program is an avant-garde Ivy League program. It is a foundation course for everyone seeking AI fluency. The state-of-the-art curriculum design offers an optimum mix of theory and practice, what I call as AI in action. We follow an immersive delivery model. The program takes place across curated, interactive, live discussions with discussions of case studies from Harvard. Further, the program leverages an extensive network of AI mentors to help you contextualize and apply your learning. Collaborative learning is an integral part of this exclusive experience. Who is this program for? I would say decision makers, leaders, and individual contributors. They could be working in large billion-dollar organizations. They could be working in startups. They could be from the technology function. They could as well be from the non-technology functions such as marketing, finance, HR, product, design, etc. I would say anyone who's interested in understanding AI applications for business impact and transformational projects. Importantly, the course does not require any programming or computer science expertise and is designed to introduce the basics of AI to anyone, whether you have a technical background or not. Remember, AI is not magic. It is not rocket science either. Participants in my most recent masterclass interventions around the world, they've been top C-suite leaders at industry chambers, at Ivy Leagues, or they have also been school children, all benefiting from what AI could do for them. Well, we all know about the AI tsunami, the AI apocalypse, the AI revolution in the making. So AI is the new electricity. It is one of the greatest challenges and one of the greatest opportunities of our lifetime. I guess there is unanimity of opinion around the world that those who harness the power of electricity and automation ruled the first half of the last century. And those who harness the power of computing and that of the internet ruled the second half of the last century and the early part of the 21st century. I guess the leaders of tomorrow will be people who understand what AI could do for them and not necessarily be wearing AI techie hats. AI is the kosher game changer. Now is the right time to board the AI bus. I look forward to seeing you soon in my exclusive, awarded, and internationally recognized program on demystifying artificial intelligence, essential AI for everyone. Thank you for your kind comments, Arjunan, Srina Kalu. I saw Krishnamurti in the beginning. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Are there any questions, comments, observations, anything, anyone? Happy to take them. I could actually stop sharing the screen so that we have a full view perhaps of Can you now confirm that you're not seeing my screen, my dear? Yes. I can now see you. Yep. P. Rayub, were you doing exercise in the middle? I saw you and you seem to be a fitness enthusiast. And are you sitting in a tent on a hill or something? I almost thought you were perhaps out there and as a part of your vacation and you have kindly taken out time.
No, I was just stretching.
All right. I hope you enjoyed it, Amir.
Excellent.
Yes, that's an important question, Arjunan, that you asked. AI is mostly used by top companies, but what about small companies? Arjunan's question is very pertinent and relevant. Okay, to give a very quick and brief answer here, it is not as if it is only used by top companies. The big thing is that AI talent is limited, right? And the big tech and various other top companies are almost always able to wean away top AI talent by throwing in top dollars, and therefore they seem to be making the biggest news. Also, they are sitting with huge amounts of cash on their cash reserves on their balance sheet. So their ability to acquire these small startup companies, which actually are very innovative, move very fast, are looking at applications in diverse areas, are almost always. So I'll take you guys back to the year 2014, December. Google is nowhere on the AI scene. 2014 December, Google is nowhere on the AI scene. 2015 January, Google is the third most powerful AI company. Why and how? Because in December end 2014, Google acquired this UK-based company called DeepMind, which is now, of course, a part of Google and which is the one through which Google drives most of its AI initiatives. So Google became the #2 AI company in January 2015, just after Baidu, because it acquired DeepMind. So yes, good, big, innovative work is also happening with some of these startups. But as far as utilization on the applications of AI in their functions and work areas is concerned, it is not entirely true, Arjunan, that small companies are not using it. In some industries, so this phenomena is varying from industry to industry, from application to application, and from processes. But yes, at a universal level, it's only the big ticket, large companies which are right now doing the biggest experiments. Okay. Any other questions, any other kind of feedback, any other things that we could have? We've almost hit our 60 minutes. Thank you, Arjunan. Anyone? I'm not naming you, but I can see Jhana, you are there. If I'm pronouncing your name right, I don't know. Jhana Pandey, Janin, and various others. So thank you very much. I think, okay, there is last one question. Do you think AI can also be a cause of employment? Oh, yes, hell yes. So these are the important issues that we discussed. There is a huge lot of controversy as far as AI and jobs is concerned, AI and employment is concerned, AI and the future of jobs is concerned, and AI's power to eliminate some of the jobs which are repetitive in nature is concerned. Yes and no to the second part of the question that you asked. Technologies or machines will be more used than humans. Yes, we did have our fears of industrialization, of automation, of the way the 20th century kind of responded to all of these things. The production units changed, the manufacturing practices changed, mass production did kind of eliminate the need of certain jobs, but certain new jobs did come into being. So I would say that perhaps the nature of jobs may undersee a change, but I am not too sure if they will be eliminated totally. Yes, there are various kinds of views out there. The jury is still out in terms of its real impact, and various surveys from a Deloitte, McKinsey to various others would talk about the kind of jobs that could get replaced or the kind of new opportunities that could come into being. So there is no single answer for a very complex thought that you share with us on out here. And yes, Arjunan, your question, let me talk. Yes, please, Arjunan, all yours. Happy to hear you out.
Yeah, because I have a question. What happened now, all of a sudden, last 2-3 years, we could see they're talking about cloud computing, DevOps, microservice, artificial intelligence, Python, lot and lot, because the user, we don't know whether to cope up. Like Oracle is coming with the autonomous database, SQL Server, like Microsoft is coming with Azure, and so a lot of changes. So all the engineers, all the database administrator, Intel engineers, programs, all the while last 2-3 years we are changing a huge revolutionary change. So technology wise, so we are very bit confused. We don't know how to catch up. So why is it suddenly this is my view. Why suddenly all these changes together coming? You got it, what I mean?
Yes, I do understand, and it's a good reflection to have. I do not necessarily exactly know if there is a specific question behind it, but what you share is something that I understand. You're asking me why. I will try and give the most competent answer that comes to my mind. I do not have all the answers, and neither do most of us. It's a crystal ball gazing that all of us are almost trying to do. So pardon my ignorance, but this is how I will try and frame an answer to the very deep quandary that you're asking. So human beings have been on planet Earth for nearly 200,000 odd years, Arjunan. From 200,000 odd years till 12,500 years ago, human beings were hunter-gatherers, which means there was no settlements. 12,500 years ago, man discovers or kind of stumbles upon the concept of agriculture. Agriculture leads to a situation of livestock. Agriculture leads to a situation of human beings settling down, and the means of economy changing to a situation where barter and various other financial systems, alternative financial systems, come into being. From those 12,500 years ago till 250 years ago, the core means is actually agricultural produce. 250 odd years ago, something again happens to the world which changes the course of direction. And this is industrialization. This is the French Industrial Revolution and various other industrial revolution, which lead to a situation of automation and the new means of production actually becoming the power of machines, which is able to replace the power of human muscle. And this is where on a daily basis, you could actually imagine producing 105 cars inside of a factory, when otherwise we could not even put together a toy car with 10 of us working together, right? So delinking the power of human muscle to that of a machinery enabled human beings to make huge strides in terms of bringing in efficiency to the manufacturing and production process. And this is what industrialization and automation led to. And this is, some things were at the vanguard of this. At a point in time, steam, another point in time, electricity, and various others. And what we are today talking about as Industrial Revolution 4 is a situation where we are living in an age of computing and that of human potential, which means that actually the computing power is today trying to create a situation where almost the intelligence could be replicated inside of a machine, which means you could be in a position where you could be able to de-link the outputs from that of human intelligence. And actually sometimes perhaps today only in fiction, be able to visualize a world where the machines even become smarter than us. We know that supercomputers are smarter than any single individual human beings in the pace of calculations, in the complexity of calculations, etc. But the ability for them to be able to do it on a day-to-day basis, what is being called as the point of singularity, right? So today we know that they are able to beat us on chess. They are able to perhaps match the intelligence of a 5-year-old. And they're talking about a situation by the year 2045 or 2060 or 2045, when the point of singularity will come and when man and machine will become one. Your question of why and how all of these technologies seem to be all coming together is a function of the pace of consumption. Electricity took something like 100 years to become ubiquitous. Windows had a 96% market share at its peak, and that took them 26.4 years to reach 1 billion numbers of consumers. Android did that in 6.8 years. Today, there are companies which are able to reach a 1 billion numbers of consumers in 3 years, which means the pace of consumption is changing. the technology, the connected world, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, etc., that I talked about, the power of internet, the power of working together, of collaboration, all of these things are leading to the emergence of several new age technologies: Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data intelligence, cloud computing, blockchain, and what have you. So all of these technologies in their own right and in combination are today leading to an emergence of a new world. And today that new world, so when I talked about the oldest era, right, when 200,000 to 12,500 years ago, to the new era, to the newest era, what you are realizing is that ages have changed. In terms of human evolution, phases have changed. So today it is being dictated by the technology worldview. For the longest period of time, it was religion. It was religion-centric worldview. So Copernicus, way back in 300 BC, when he proposed a heliocentric view of the world as against a geocentric view of the world, he was banished. And so was banished who? Galileo Galilei, who actually discovered the telescope, made the telescope, and said that Copernicus 1500 years ago was right. It is a geocentric, it is a heliocentric view of the world. The sun is at the center, and it's not the earth which is at the center. The earth is not flat, right? And he was banished by the church. The Pope John Paul II in the year 1992, some 300 years later, apologized posthumously to Galileo Galilei that the church was wrong. So religion-centric worldview to a science-centric worldview, today to a technology-centric worldview, is how human beings are, evolution has happened. I don't know if it provides a certain kind of context. It is not necessarily an answer to the very philosophical and profound question that you asked, Arjunan. I hope it provides a perspective for all of us to chew upon. But thank you very much for asking that very engaging question. Very deep and profound question. Yeah. Okay, in the chat, I see some more action. Yes, Yoon, this is the most difficult thing. This is the most difficult thing. So the last bastion is going to be the ability to build artificial emotional intelligence. Why? With those of us who are married, who have partners, who have, these partners that we have, know how difficult it is and how human intelligence of sarcasm, of jealousy, of love operates at various levels. There are layers and layers, right? So for machines, so enough data does not exist. Artificial intelligence succeeds when you have confirmed, validated data that you could use as training data to be able to train the machine. So simple logical things: the sun rises in the east and so many degrees is where equinox is, and where the various other, the point of equator is. But data on emotions, my smile could mean 100 things which only my partner understands the various, and sometimes I don't understand. Otherwise all of us will be happy, right? So yes, caring, emotional, and these are the areas where you would actually see human beings still surpassing and need of humans. In high touch areas, service areas, caring areas is where the jobs will continue to thrive. All right. And Janin, so it's a very deep issue, Janin. And yes, like I said, the jury is out whether jobs will vanish, whether new jobs will get created, whether it will lead to complete elimination and us becoming useless as humans, or whether it will lead to actually a situation which is we will have more time at our disposal to be able to undertake more productive, more useful things, right, for really the good pursuits of life, the finer pursuits of life. So the jury is still out, and it's not a verdict that it will lead to such a situation. Just as we saw, any new technology creates a lot of scare along with a lot of excitement, and we have to kind of walk with the two, take the rough with the smooth, and be able to make the most of it. Will AI lead to environmental degradation? Amir, very good question. I have never read anything about it. I have never thought about it. I would think no, but I would not know. I know that that tens of things which the modern humans do, in one way or another, directly or indirectly, contribute to a situation of issues on sustainability, whether it is environment or whether it is the environment, social, and governance, right? All kinds of 17 development goals that we have. So some places have scarcity. How can they sustain using AI machines? Yes, you are right. You are right. At a base level, the question that you asked, Janin, is looking to be a right way to think about it. But I'm sure that what they are talking about, and electricity is not the primary mover of an AI necessarily. Electricity is today almost 100% electrification, and let's say renewable sources is what we are going to be talking about, right? And electric is a good renewable source. So how they will be able to, and remote areas are perhaps therefore going to be the last bastion of such a thing. So technology always has its positives and its negatives. We do discuss some of these issues in our classes with most of us participating, but most of them finally turn out to be philosophical discussions with updation of various kinds of points of view, but none of us finally are able. We do share some statistics on what the European Parliament is debating, for example, rights for robots, but whether robots can be treated as persons, whether we can grant them peoplehood, right? These are things which even the European Parliament is debating. So yes, these are live questions, and this is where the beauty of the technology is, that it is matching the wildest imagination of us on the subject. Yet no other technology has kind of threatened at least the visualization, imagination, and fictionalization of it in the ways in which it is doing so. Thank you. All right, so that kind of brings us to the end. If there are any more questions, may I request that we speak? If we have, I think on the chat side we are done. And if that is it, perhaps we've taken 15 minutes more, we will just say bye, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the other side, hopefully sooner than later, right? So thank you very much. Appreciate your time and patience, and please have a good night. I know it's slightly late in Singapore out there. Okay.